Okay, it's Thursday, September 22nd, and there's about an hour and a half to go in the trading session. I just thought I'd make a video here highlighting context and why that's important when it comes to trying to pick the right stocks to trade at the right time. And today is like a really good example of that. And if I use three stocks, Microsoft, Coinbase, and Tesla as an example, I think it'll be clear what I'm getting at. So here's the daily chart, for example, of Microsoft. And if you look at today, even on a down day in the market, we had a big, down day yesterday after the Fed. A lot of stocks were red. Note the way Microsoft is not really moving much lower at the moment. There are still, it's still in a downtrend. It still might go lower, but today it hasn't gone lower. Now, if I look at a stock like Coinbase, click on that. Whoa, look at this one. Big red bar heading much lower on the weekday. And then if I hit a stock like Tesla, same thing today. Big red day heading lower. So why did those two stocks head lower and Microsoft not head lower? And the whole thing here is context. And that's why, and it doesn't always work out perfectly either, but you should at least kind of focus on the stocks with the best context for the highest probability. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. So if you look at Tesla, for example, and I traded this one today, I was also looking at Coinbase. I wish I would have traded it in high, but I picked Tesla, which worked out fine. So that's okay. But in terms of why this went down big today, the context in play here, when we go to the weekly chart, at the moment, and I highlighted this when I was making the trade, is that we had a two up. This type of context was a 2-week two up failure where you moved to the high of the previous week, you didn't really hit your target here, I think of 314. It came close, but anyway, you came down to the midpoint of the prior week. So at the time I was making the trade, you still had context to head to the bottom of this week. Once you kind of failed on this, moving up on this week, you take out the midpoint. You usually target the 290 area to take out the bottom. So in terms of the opening price action, when it started down lower, you were at 296. You still had room all the way down to the 290 area to take out. So there was nice context here for follow through. You could also look at the daily chart and you could see a couple of pivots along the way to head lower. And that's why, it was a good trade to at least attempt. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but the probability was more in your favor. If I look at then Coinbase, which really, quite frankly, I was looking at it at the open, and it's even a better context if I think about it, because you have a 2 up day yesterday, starting with a 2 down day today. So you're going to get that, you're going to hit that target here in terms of the very short run on the daily chart. But if you look at the weekly chart, we also started 2 down here, and we were definitely working towards, once you get a 2 down week like this, you also have this target down here, kind of at the 61 area. So this stock from the beginning, up at 69, 68, had definite context on the weekly chart to be heading down to 61. And at least in the very short run, it had context to take out the 66 low. So you started the session up here at 68 with a weak opening, and you had 66 and 61 as your targets. And as it turns out, we got there. Now, if you look at Microsoft, which is my example of a stock that didn't really follow through, well, you're saying, why didn't this one follow through like the others? Well, if you go to context, look at what happened here. First of all, on Friday, yesterday, you took out this immediate weekly low. So you already hit your targets and broadened. And then, as it turns out, on this opening this morning, you have to go way back on the chart, and there was this little pivot down here, which was likely to be hit. And I drew a line in play, and you could see here, this was the target that was hit yesterday, this blue line. And then this morning, on the very open, it hit the next target. So by the time the open started, you had already hit the 2 targets context-wise. It's a 2 down continuation on the daily chart. So that's sometimes, you start getting exhaustion risk. The more and more you try to play these 2 down days, the better days are the, like these failure, you move up and you fail, or you have a 2 up, 2 down. But when you have continuation, you don't know if you're going to, sometimes you get a few days in a row heading down. But anyway, that's fine to be going short, as long as you hold the midpoint of the prior bar day and head lower. But context-wise, we had already taken out not only this initial target, but then if you had to go way back on the chart, there was one that was pretty clear that was going to be taken out. It was taken out right at the open. And what happens? That takes out all the stops there, and then it immediately started up. So on this day, even though it's a weekday in the market, Microsoft, and it never moved below the midpoint of that first bar to know if you were going to really, on this weekly chart at this point, really begin to broaden out and start heading down to these targets, which is way back earlier in last year. So, at this point, you don't know, but, we haven't reached the midpoint of that first bar on the way down. So it's just kind of been up all day a little bit. I mean, we have a little green bar from yesterday at the moment here with a couple, a little less than an hour or an hour and I have to go to trading. So anyway, I thought I'd shoot that video showing context, and really that's why the multiple time frame analysis and targets and what seems to be developing definitely helps you guide yourself to, the best trades in terms of once opening price action aligns with the various contexts in place. So thought I'd shoot that video, and it's something to keep in mind. I do it, and I'm trying, as I look at all my stocks here all the time, I definitely have context in mind of what they're trying to do in the bigger picture, and that kind of guides me to the ones to trade. And today it was a really good example, and I could show you other ones with the same exact thing, where some stocks were better to be focused on, others not so much, and it's all has to do with where they're trying to go, where the liquidity is with the stop orders, and then in terms of opening price action that then aligns with that. So hopefully that's an informative video.